Welcome to episode 19 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. And one of the cats is sitting behind me. You haven't seen him before, I think, not on the podcast at least. And he's the oldest, so he's the alpha male. So he's the boss. And maybe I should continue with my introduction. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Etsy and Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. And I also have a group on Ravelry, and the group is called Arctic Crafts Podcast. I'm coming to you from a sort of cold Vesterålen. We finally got winter weather and the sun has returned, or at least a bit. And as you can see at the start of the podcast, I went for a walk yesterday to get some footage for you, because it's really beautiful here at the moment. We'll probably get some more snow because most of the snow comes in February, March here. And then he got fed up and modeling in the background. Let's just hope he doesn't do anything crazy. So I have to pause the recording. Let's just start with what I'm wearing. You saw this, the last podcast, I had just started it. It's the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. Let me get up so you can see the entire thing. As you can see, it's a bit longer in the back, and I love that look, especially on cropped sweaters. This is also a cropped sweater. It's just at my waist, so it looks really good over dresses. The color is blowing out just a tiny bit. The color is a bit more intense, and now the cats are fighting behind me. That's just it. This is when I'm recording and I have 3 cats, I can't pause or edit out all the stuff that's going on in the background. As I was saying, I have a cat fight behind me. Let's just hope they don't kill each other. That would be kind of sad. This podcasting is a thirsty work. As long as I'm not saying it aloud, it's okay, right? Love this mug. And that's just me. So, I have a couple of FOs in addition to the Love Note. I wanted to knit some fingerless mittens for our trip to England at the end of February, and I wanted something fun. And I went through I looked for a 50 gram skein of hand-dyed, because sometimes I buy just 50 gram skeins. I'm so happy when dyers have 50 gram skeins in the shops, because 50 grams is enough for a pair of socks for me. And these are the mittens. I really, really love them. The colorway is Healing Hugs. It's from Pixie Yarns, and I seem to remember this was a charity colorway. And I have enough left for another pair of mittens, but it might just go into my granny striped blanket. And that's those. And I finished finally my socks for my friend Trine. Trine is watching this podcast. She always watches this podcast. So now you get to see what they look like. The colorway is Heidi. And it's from Nicole Mendez. And probably because she's German, she would pronounce it Heidi. And these are really fun and bright, and I decided Trine needed a pair of socks that were this bright. And that's my FOs. because I have been trying to go through my whips, and because of that I only have, in addition to socks, because I always have at least one pair of socks on the needles. In my book, socks aren't whips, because I always need socks, and I always have a pair of socks on the go, because if we're going somewhere, they're perfect car knitting, or when I'm going to a meeting, as long as it's okay for the people doing the meeting, of course, because not everybody understands that for a knitter, knitting actually makes you more attentive. In my case, at least, if I'm knitting something mindless, I'm more concentrated on what people are saying. So one of the whips, this was a hibernating whip, and I decided to keep going on it, and I've done a lot on it. I think I was about here when I picked it up again. And I have about an inch left before I bind it off. This is the Montana Mountain Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I love her mosaic patterns, because she uses pearl stitches and it gets almost this 3D effect, and I really love it. The yarn I'm using a generic cheap grey, and I'm using a Zauberball. This is from Schoppel, and it's a budget-friendly way of knitting the patterns that Andrea Mowry has written for Spin Cycle yarns. It has the same sort of handspun effect as the Spin Cycle does. And this is, I have, as I was saying, I have about an inch left. And when you finish the knitting, you see I've started with a, what's the word? I'll just call it temporary. I can't remember the word for it. You start with that, and when you're finished, you put all the stitches on waste yarn, and then you wash and block it before you finish it completely, because after it's washed and blocked, you twist it like this, and then you graft it together with Kitchener stitch. And I really like the effect you get when you do the twist, because if you put on a cowl and you take it around twice, you get this twist. This is only supposed to go once around your neck. And I can't wait to get this done. Maybe if I get it, I probably will get it done before the next podcast, because I'm trying to be monogamous with my whips so I can get them done. And another sort of hibernating whip I have been working on until I picked up the Montana Mountain Cowl, at least. It's in my Finchfield Supply tone bag. It's the East Coast Girl by Veera Välimäki. I've gotten some work done on this. I'm just starting to decrease again beneath the waist shaping, and I've sort of started on one of the sleeves. I showed you that, I think. And because of the color and everything, I think this is going to be for spring and summer, to throw over dresses or t-shirts, because the evenings can get cold, and then it will be nice to have a knitted cardigan to wear over dresses and t-shirts. And that's my whips. I have done a lot of work on my crochet blanket, but it's not that interesting, I think, because it looks the same. And then we have Severus. Severus Snape is going behind me, and he might jump down without throwing something to the floor. You can see I have that progress keeper. I think that's where I was the last time I showed you. And this is something I'm going to be working on for years, I think. Because I have still quite a bit of leftovers left in there. And I want to just, as I get new leftovers, I just put them in here. I'm trying to have every other light and dark color to get it more striped. But I'm not sure I can keep up with that. Let's just see. And maybe I should tell you the progress keeper. That's from Gibberoo Seuss. And I forgot to tell you about the progress keeper on my Montana Mountain Cowl. That's from Corner of Craft. And it's this fun little, let's just see if we can focus and not blow it out. It's a fun little pig with flowers. The light is too bright, so you have a problem seeing it. There you go. It's pink. You can't tell because the light is too strong, but it's really nice. And that's my whips. I have been dying a bit, so I haven't done a lot of knitting during the day. All my knitting has been in the evenings. And let's just check my show notes. That's it for knitting. I wanted to talk to you about something I put in the shop. I've put in my Arctic Seasons Spring edition. It's up in the shop now. I've told you about this before, but I can repeat it. It's a club I'm going to send out quarterly. The first shipment is going out at the end of March, and the pre-orders will be open until March the 5th. That doesn't give me a lot of time, but I'm planning on getting all the dyeing done. I'm getting everything ready before we leave for England, and all I have to do when I get back is dye up the yarn. There are two different options. You have a cheaper option with just the sock set. The same extras, but just the sock set. And then you have a bit more expensive version where you have the sock set plus an additional full skein of yarn. And all my bases are possible to get. You can get a sock set with, and then with a fingering skein or a DK skein or a worsted skein, depending on what you want. And that's of course in a different colorway, and both the colorways will be exclusive. I'll write down the recipes, and I'll probably put them in the shop next year. But for a year from I make them until I can, so they'll be exclusive for 1 year. It's difficult finding the words today, for some reason. Thursday work, all this talking. And that's open in the shop. The extras will be a surprise, of course. So if you want a surprise in the mail in April, feel free to pre-order a box of the Arctic Seasons Spring Edition. The next shipment will be in June, end of June, and that's of course the summer edition. And something else that is happening February 14th. Valentine's Day. I'm not doing a Valentine's colorway. I haven't got any... I'm not a Valentine's Day person. Mostly because my generation never did anything special on Valentine's Day. To us, Valentine's Day was just February 14th. Nothing special about that date. So that's another thing we have kind of imported from the United States. But it's getting to be a big thing. And what I thought I'd do, instead of dyeing up a Valentine's colorway, I could of course dye up an anti-Valentine's colorway, but that's been done. So what I thought I'd do, I would show you the colorways I have in stock that would work as a Valentine's thing, because I've seen that most of the Valentine colorways are themed in pink and red and stuff like that. So what I've done, I've gotten all the pink colorways that I have to show you. So maybe you can get some inspiration, and if you order them this week or this weekend, they'll get there before the 14th of February. I also have a red colorway. I didn't bring it because I showed you in the last podcast, that's the grenadine. It's just a tonal red. I have a colorway here that is, I have two of it. I wanted to show you both of them. This is my merino nylon. And the colorway is bubblegum. And I also have a sock set of that. And that's bubblegum. To put them in behind me here. And I have, this is on Corriedale sock. And it's called Lollipop. And the reason for the name is we have, what you call them in English? It's kind of a sorbet. And it has these colors. And that's why it's called Lollipop. I also have my vintage rose. This is on Polldale. And it's a really, really soft mauvish pink. And the inspiration for this is a bouquet of roses that my mother sent me for my birthday. They had this gorgeous color that I've never seen on a rose before. And I've of course had to dye up a colorway. So that's called Vintage Rose. And I have this really fun Chaotic Good colorway. For those returning viewers, you know that Chaotic Good, it's from Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. And I'm calling it Chaotic Good because it's a one of a kind. It's my cleanup colorway, where I use my leftover dye. And it's chaotic. So that's my Chaotic Good in pinks. And this is a shawl set on woolen spun merino. And this is one of my discontinuing bases. So this is on sale at the moment, 30% off. And if no one buys it, I might actually use it myself because I love this hot pink. But as I was saying, on sale at the moment. And of course we have my headless flamingo. And that's on Polldale sock. And another beautiful pink. And I have this. It may not be a really romantic name because it's called Arctic Maki. I was thinking about calling it salmon sushi, but I liked Arctic maki better. But anyway, you can go on a date in a sushi place. So Valentine's Day. And I have this. It's called Rose Hip. And this is on my merino nylon sock yarn. And I have two more. This is just called Pretty in Pink. That's a colorway I don't do anymore. I have the recipe, but I haven't done it for a long time. So I have this one skein left on my merino nylon sock yarn. And the last colorway I want to show you that I have in stock is Peony. And that's it's so soft a pink that it's almost difficult to see that it's pink. But I love it as a neutral. If you want to knit a sweater with reds and pinks, this will work really well as a neutral. I knit a shawl with this and guacamole and nebula, and I'll put up a picture there. It's kind of the other way around. So this is the shawl I knit with peony, and now I can't even remember the name of the shawl, but I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. I remember it was Tamigor pattern. And that's what I have in stock that are kind of pinks and reds and would work as a Valentine colorway. And I wanted to talk to you about what I have been dyeing. I haven't gotten a lot of dyeing done, but I've gotten some dyeing done because I have a lot of yarn in stock at the moment, so I didn't see a reason for dyeing up a lot of it. But I have a new tonal, and it's this one. It's a tonal teal, you would call it, I think. And I wasn't sure what to call it, and I was thinking lagoon, and so I decided to call it Arctic lagoon because we have lagoons and they are this color, the water has this color, so it was either that or juniper, but I decided on Arctic lagoon. It would look really good with this color, so maybe I should dye up some more of this and knit a colorwork sweater. This is on my 100% merino, no nylon. So I have I dyed up a sweater quantity of this. I have 4 skeins of this color going into the shop, and it's going into the shop on Sunday. And I have dyed up a colorway that has kind of a backstory. A friend of ours took this really gorgeous picture of the sky, and I asked her right away, can I please use that picture as inspiration for a colorway? And it was of course okay with her, so this is it. I'll put up a picture of the sky so you can see what the picture looked like that I used for inspiration. As you can see, this colorway isn't as purple as the sky was. I tried to get a more purple color, but then I decided I love this color. So that's what they call artistic license, I think. But this is the colorway, and it's going to be called Elise because the lady taking the picture is called Elise. So that's just why. And I've dyed up one of my favorite colorways on worsted, and that's Nebula. I think this would make a really, really fun hat for someone. So that's Nebula. And I've dyed up Eton Mess on Merino DK. And I have dyed up a colorway on Corridale sock that I've only dyed up on Merino DK before. And it's this one. It's called Lupine. And that's a flower, in case you didn't know. It's a lot of the... It's normally a flower people have in their gardens, but it spreads really easily, so it's all over. And this is called Lupine because these are the colors, the different colors of the flowers. And I'll put up a picture of a hat knit with Lupine in DK. Nicole Mendez sample knit that one for me. And the Lupine on DK, this lightest color isn't on the Lupine on DK. And because I used... I have more colors on this. The DK Lupine stops kind of here. That's the lightest color on the DK. And you'll see that on the picture. And I keep pointing there when I'm putting the picture here. Never mind. Because this isn't a mirror. It shows me everything the right way around. So that's what makes it difficult to point in the right place. But that's Lupine on Corridale sock. And I'm going to snatch one of these for myself to sample knit socks, because I know what it looks like in a hat, but a smaller circumference in a sock. So I'm going to snatch one of these for myself to knit a sample pair of socks. And I was telling you about chaotic good. Well, I was dyeing up some chaotic good on sport, and it was too chaotic. I know, it can get too chaotic. So I overdyed it with a dark grey. And this is really, really dark. And I thought, this is chaotic evil. And that's also a term from D&D. And because it's so dark, I decided to call this one chaotic evil. And that's the dyeing I've been doing. I'll be having a shop update this coming Sunday, 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time. And and I have something exciting coming in the mail. I have 4 new bases coming. And that's why I have a sale for my discontinued bases, because I have 4 new bases coming. I have gotten a new supplier for my merino nylon, because I had big trouble with my last supplier because they were out of stock all the time. So this last 5-6 months almost, I haven't been able to get a lot of merino nylon, and so my Polldale is my main sock yarn. That might continue, but I'm getting merino nylon sock yarn from a different supplier, and the same supplier also had merino nylon sport, so I'm also getting sport weight sock yarn, and I'm getting sparkly sock yarn. So I'm going to start dyeing with sparkles, and that sounds real fun. So I have to figure out what colorways I have that will work with sparkles, because I think it has to be colorways like this. The headless flamingo would look amazing on sparkly yarn, I think. And another new base I'm getting is something that's really popular at the moment, and it's slub. I'm getting slub. It's on its way. And the skeins it's coming in to me on are 200 grams. And that's monster skeins, and I might have trouble shipping. I'm not sure. I have to see what they look like. I might split them up into 100 gram skeins, but on the other hand, 200 gram skeins are really good for sweater knitting and stuff like that. But if you only wanted yarn for a hat, 200 grams, that's a lot. So I might split them up into 100 gram skeins before I dye them. So that's what's coming up in the shop. I'll probably start, because I have a shop update every other Sunday, I might be able to have some of those spaces going into the shop the next update I'm doing, because I think at least the merino sport sock with stellina, and that's coming sooner, because I think it's coming. It could be coming already on Monday or something next week. The slub will be later. So that's a lot of rambling, just to tell you that I have 4 new bases coming into the shop. No, I think I'm done with the knitting bit and the yarn and everything. Not a lot happening here this weekend. I will be knitting quite a lot, I guess. I will be finishing the Montana Mountain Cowl. That will probably happen already today. And I'll be taking pictures and making everything ready for the update on Sunday. I'll start taking pictures while I'm uploading this, I think. And we're staying in all weekend, and that's kind of us. We're homebodies, both me and hubby. We prefer to stay at home. We're kind of introverts, both of us. We're introverted nerds, to be honest with you. And when we do something, we do it all the way, and we leave the country and go abroad. There's not a middle way for us. And so we're going to Brighton the end of February, and I'm going to I'm going to vlog from that trip. And I'm going to talk more about this, because I really look forward to this trip. Particularly because my oldest son is coming with us, and I haven't been on a trip with him for years. We've taken my youngest son to Brighton, and now it's my oldest son's chance to go to Brighton with us. So he's taking a few days off work, and he's going with us to Brighton. We're going during winter break, so hubby has an entire week off. One of the benefits of working as a teacher, you have but you have these holidays. You have a longer Easter break, you have winter break, you have fall break. But then again, he works long days when he's working. And I think that's about it for this episode. It's not going to be a long one, but I keep saying that. I can tell I'm already past half an hour, and I think about 30 minutes to 45 minutes is a perfect length, because then people can actually watch the whole thing without pausing and doing other stuff. So it might be because I'm on my own, so I have to think of everything myself, and I'm not that creative. If I were to do this in Norwegian, I could keep going for a couple of hours, I guess. But since I have to speak English, my second language, I have to do a bit of thinking, so I'm not talking as fast. You could be thankful for that, because normally I talk really fast. And then I'm rambling again. Hubby usually calls me the epilogue lady, and there's a reason for that. So instead of keeping on with the rambling, I'm just going to wish all of you a hope you have a nice weekend, and I'll see you again next Friday. And remember, I have a shop update on Sunday at 8 o'clock. Bye bye.